saw no indication of my dad being on it.
What'd you do with the trail camera while you were there?
I checked whatever pictures were on it. I know there might have been a couple of animals. I want to say I saw a picture of Amanda and Melody walking, but it was mainly animals. But I saw no indication of my dad walking by or anybody who didn't, was in my family.
Did you see anything suspicious on it?
No.
Did you delete the things off the camera?
I did, because it's just, natural habit. This, like I said, this is prior to us discovering my dad's remains. So every single time I ever went to go check my trail camera, I always delete, just kind of free up the SD card, because I use it for deer hunting. And, if I have a doe walking by, I'm not going to, want to save it. I want to save, whatever bucks.
And the camera, again, was pointing down into the woods away from the burn pile?
Yes, it was pointing towards my neighbor's property.
How long, we'll ask you about finding your father's remains. How long do you think you were looking before you went to the burn pile? Did y'all walk by before? Did you get close to it before? Or?
Well, I had to go by it to go down there and check the trail camera. I didn't even think to look at the, the fire. Didn't even cross my mind. And I know I came back up and let them know there was nothing on it. And then I said, well, I'm going to go and, check on the other side of the pond, walk across the dam, and go check down over there on that side of the property. Because it was rare if he did it, but he did it every once in a while. He would go on that section of the property because it was a little tight to drive the RTV down there.
Now this is Shaw 2 here, and this is the burn pile we're talking about.
Yes.
At some point, ultimately, you did find the remains of your father, is that right?
Yes. How I found it, like I said, I was going to check the other side of the pond, across the dam, and I started walking that way, and I believe I got either halfway across the dam or got to the other side, and then Melody called me, and she called me and asked, have you thrown a dead goat on the burn pile? I'm like, no, we haven't had anything to die, and also I wouldn't throw it on the burn pile. And she said, well, come up here and look at this. So I was like, okay. Well, I turned around and started walking, and I see Amanda walking. She was almost kind of like right in front of my dad's office, coming from the burn pile area, walking back up towards the driveway. She was walking there, and Melody was standing over near the burn pile, and I walk up and look, and I can already start seeing bones. And then I look down, and it appeared to me that it was the inside of a skull. The backside was gone, and you could see like the little blood vessels, I think it was, but it didn't look like. So I grabbed a very, very small corner of it, and I lifted it up just enough to where I saw teeth and the eye socket, and I immediately put it right back. And I was crouched down, and she was standing right there next to me, and I raise up, I put my hand on, across her chest and push her back and go, these are human remains. I am calling 911 right now. Nobody's allowed down here. And at that same time, that's when I noticed Chris was there, and he was coming around the back side of the house with the girls on the RTV, and I walked right up to him and I said, get those girls out of here right now. I'm calling 911. And I pretty much, my brother would have argued or, with me on anything like that. And I believe just the look on my face and everything, he didn't second question me. He's like, okay. And he turned around and pulled off with the girls, and I called 911.
When you called 911, do you even remember what you said to them?
I believe that, they called and they asked, did the normal routine, and said, hey, I was like, it was along the lines of, we've been searching for my dad, and after searching, we came across some remains in a burn pile. And I said, I was deployed to Iraq. I've seen bodies burned up. And it's like, this definitely looks like a burned up body. We need somebody out here now.
Were you thinking it was your dad?
Pretty much by that point, yeah, because there was nobody else who it could have been, and my dad was missing. I mean, my dad didn't have any enemies. There was nobody who, we never really had strangers walking across our property. No, never once did I've ever catch anybody on our property. So it was, within an instant, I knew that this was 99% sure this was my dad.
After you called 911, what'd you do?
I remember I got off the phone with them and I walked up to the driveway. I don't remember if I went on the back side of the house or the pond side of the house, but I came back up to the driveway and Amanda was standing there in the driveway. And I walked up to her and said, Amanda, this is not good. She's like, what are you talking about? I go, there's human remains in that burn pile. I've called 911. The police are on their way. But I was like, Amanda, this is not good. And she just kept saying, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And that's all I remember telling her that. And then I don't remember who I let know, but I said, I'm going to go meet, who's ever coming up at the driveway at the road so they know where to exactly come to. And I started to walk up towards the road.
What was Amanda like at this time?
At that time, once I told her about finding the remains, that's when she, was somebody who act like, they just found out something bad happened, especially to a loved one. It was kind of like she was shaking and, like I said, she's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And like almost in tears.
What was your mom doing?
As in what?
How was she acting? What was she doing? What'd you
Never
see?
saw any kind of emotion out of her.
Did you see
She
what
didn't get
did?
angry with anybody, and she showed no. I didn't notice any of her freaking out or anything like that. The only time that I saw her actually try to kind of show some emotion is after the deputy and the paramedic came back up from the burn pile to say, yes, those are human remains. And then just the way that she started acting, I've seen my mother cry. I mean, hundreds of times throughout my life and all. And it appeared to me to be fake. Like, this wasn't her emotion. Her reaction to finding out her, mom had a heart attack and her dad dying and, anything bad happened like that, it was a complete different reaction to what she reacted to when the paramedic and deputy said, yes, those were human remains.
Up until that point, has she cried or anything?
No.
Did she come up to you and ask you a lot of questions or anything?
When?
after finding the remains and before law enforcement got there, was she asking you questions or saying anything to anybody?
I really don't remember because after, I talked to Amanda, because I was heading in that direction. I knew I was going to meet them at the end of the driveway up at the road. And that's where I saw Amanda, and I let Amanda know. After I let Amanda know, I continued walking down the driveway to go meet either the police or paramedics that were coming. So I walked up to the end of the road, and from there, no, I don't remember her ever talking to me during that time.
At some point, did your feelings change or suspicion arise about something's afoot here?
I knew I felt something was very off. There was red flags prior to finding my dad. Her having his wallet. I remember at one point, she said that she had the credit card that the one my dad gave me and said, never, hold on to this like your life depended on it. Because there was a lot of times my dad said, don't ever give her the credit card. And she had it. And I remember asking her, I go, how do you have this? She goes, well, your father gave it to me. And I knew that was a straight up lie. I mean, y'all have seen it in the text messages that he, said for me to hold on to that credit card.
Did you start talking about a gun?
So,
a pistol?
So prior to all this happening, I want to say it was in June. I don't remember, it was like the first week of June or the second week of June.